Good morning, warriors. Welcome to the U Movement. I am B. I thought it important to hop on and do a little bit of a catch-up. I haven't been able to get in front of a camera and process through where I've been at on my spiritual awakening, my Kundalini awakening, my twin flame journey, my crazy 3D world situation. And yesterday I did an oracle read, and I touched on a little bit about how much energetically a lot of us are getting squeezed, and what is being squeezed out is all of the maladaptive egoic beliefs, structures, coping mechanisms. It's let go, so that we're being purified and cleared out of this. And this process of getting squeezed it is very challenging, and that's why I call what we're doing on this path as warrior work without question, because you really need to dive really deep to be able to hold on while you're going through episodes of Dark Night of the Soul, trauma release, inner child work, shadow work, as all of this stuff that has been at play and locked within us, locked within our body, locked within our psyche, it starts bubbling to the surface. And it's not like you have control over anything. You don't have control really of what your life circumstances bring about by triggering you in different ways. You don't have control over when or how much surfaces. It's not like you get to go in with a baby spoon and just deal with a little bit at a time as you're getting squeezed. Whatever's going to come out is going to come out. So the first thing I wanted to talk about today a little bit was control. Because for those of us that have complex post-traumatic stress disorder from years of trauma from our childhood, as well as trauma through our adult years, because we just keep accumulating more. Those childhood wounds left unhealed just attract in more energy of the same. And so we have what's a reoccurring karmic loop until the lesson is finally learned. So for those of us that were raised in narcissistic households, it is a very common phenomenon to then go and reenact, and it is called, I believe, the reenactment trauma, where you reenact those same energies at play. So if you were raised with a narcissistic parent, it is very common to get into friendships, romantic relationships for sure. They are a spotlight on unhealed wounds, so we attempt, our egos attempt to create control in our lives. So control is a big issue, a big thing at play for those that have trauma, because we didn't have control over anything that happened to us as children. You have everything but control, because somebody controls the roof over your head, somebody controls the foods that you eat, they control your basic survival. And so when you don't get to be that root chakra right to exist in your own authentic self, you don't get to be yourself. You have to adapt to somebody else's projection of you, role that they have placed upon you, whether it be a scapegoat or a golden child. You're given a script and you're said, this is what you need to adhere to. You have zero control over anything. And so you try to create control. Ego tries to create control because that wounded inner child, that splintered off a soul. So each trauma that happens, it's like a piece of us gets fractured off, and soul tucks it away for another day down the road when you're more mature and more able to deal with those wounds. And so ego is busily constructing this tower of a persona around you to keep you safe. And even though it's maladaptive, it's what's necessary. It's adapting to the situation that you're currently in. It had to be maladaptive because the situation was maladaptive. So it's like roots growing between concrete. The environment isn't beautiful and easy growing location, so it has to adapt itself into the small little situation that it's in. And so as ego is quickly constructing this identity, this to protect that inner child, to protect all those wounded places, we develop many coping mechanisms that start far into our childhood. And so one of those is desperately attempting to control the outcomes of your situations. And so one of the things that you develop is hypervigilance, in the ability to use your skills as an empath, that everybody has the capacity, well, maybe not everybody, but many of us, because the other path is a narcissistic path, so we have this paradigm of narcissism and empath, and the empath uses and I imagine actually a narcissist does as well, this ability to scan a situation. We just use it for different means. So whereas the narcissist is constantly scanning and observing, this hyper-vigilant, like I'm watching, so that I can use and manipulate in the situation for my greatest, I'm going to take care of me. The empath is I'm going to scan and I'm going to observe and I'm going to be hyper in tuned to the energies, to facial expressions, to micro movements, so that I can quickly adapt to your needs, the narcissist's needs, that the parental figure or the self-absorbed parent or the trauma-induced parent or the alcoholic parent, however it showed up. I'm going to adapt so that can I get you something? Can I do something for you? Can I as a coping strategy for survival? And so doing it's like a faux sense of control over the situation. Well, if I can observe and if I can predict what kind of mood they're going to be in, then I can attempt to control the outcome of it. Prediction, hypervigilance, catastrophizing as a form of prediction. Well, if I can foresee all of the potential outcomes, then I can be prepared. And all of those things are attempts to control your environment and control your ability to survive, to live. And so these are very subconscious. It's not like we are consciously, as 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, even adults, going out in the world and going, okay, well, I'm going to use these tactics so that I can attempt to control your environment. And when you're on this awakening journey, you quickly learn that nothing is in your control, and because of that, those aspects of ego that have previously attempted to control the situation begin to collapse, and you go through a process of more ego death. And ego, for me, in relation to this control dynamic, has been huge. One, I was completely unaware of it, was at play, and two, I didn't see so many things that become consciously into your level of awareness as you go through this process. And one of the things that I became very aware of, and I was doing a lot of purging last night, as I am experiencing nightmares now, and so we learn things on this awakening path in both our wakeful state as well as our dreamscape. And I can see how much control was at play in my narcissistic marriage, and how much I was utilizing these skills that I had developed in my maladaptive childhood home, as if I can give you what you need and foresee your mood, and attempt to manage somebody else, manage the situation, manage anything, and especially from a fawning perspective, which of the 4 F's of trauma response being fawn, freeze, flight, or fight. My go-to was fawn most of the time, as a means to, again, control the environment, control the situation. Well, if I can, make you less rageful, make you less manipulative, make you less cruel, then I can be safer, and I can be I can be okay. And I didn't see the power dynamic of control. And one thing, I now know more about narcissism than I ever thought that I would ever want to know, because in educating yourself, in learning the vocabulary, in learning the gameplay, in learning the cycles of narcissistic romantic relationship, in this case, you're better able to protect yourself. You're better able to escape. You're better able to understand, because the mental fuckery that is at play with narcissism when you are in some sort of relationship, whether it be parent-child or friend or boss or romantic partnership, the mental fuckery that's at play is designed very purposefully to keep you in a state of absolute cognitive dissonance and confusion, and that is a way to have control over you, to be controlled. And so if you're being controlled, you're not in control. One, because you're not able to make cognitively shrewd choices, as well as your emotional state is dysregulated, because you're constantly being prodded. Your nervous system is constantly fired, and then you're also going through these cycles of dopamine, from the love bombing into cortisol from the discarding. So the cycle of narcissistic abuse perpetuates over and over, which is that love bombing or breadcrumbing of, I'm going to give you a little bit of everything you've ever wanted, and then I'm going to begin the devaluation phase and prod you and poke you and do things that irritate you, and then you're going to be annoyed and your cortisol level is going to be firing and you're going to be panic stricken and experiencing all these emotions, and then you're going to attempt to pull away because that's the natural response. And there's going to be a certain degree of discarding. And a discard doesn't just look like I want it over or something. It's not as blatant as that. A discard means your needs, your wants, your feelings are irrelevant to me. I'm going to do what I want, and I'm going to gaslight you when you call me out on this behavior and turn it all back on you. So this discard is discarding your emotional well-being in safety, your mental well-being in safety, your spiritual well-being in safety is all just discarded as irrelevant. And so you then try to pull away, and then the cycle begins again of, oh, well, here comes more love bombing, and I'm going to give you some of the stuff that you've always wanted. And so you're spinning in this soup of absolute confusion, and this is an attempt to control you. And there's lots of other ways that control is at play that I don't think even in all the narcissistic videos that I've watched or books that I've read have really talked about, and I don't know therefore have like a name for it. So I'm going to call it the persistence offensive, which is when you try to pull away in that cycle, there's this element of persistence that comes in. They just never leave. They just never walk away. You come to a point where you're like, if this is so bad, if this is such a difficult, terrible situation, why don't you leave? So in my very dysfunctional marriage, I would have asked for separations and asked to break up at least 10 times over a decade more, and they just wouldn't leave. So it's this control that they have over the situation by simply never acknowledging what is actually at play, because they don't want you to know what's at play. It's manipulation, and you're being gaslit. So you're trying to hey, let's talk about this. Let's make this better. Let's go to counseling. And it never gets you anywhere. It absolutely, you get a couple of, false promises of change that future faking. And then it just the cycle continues. And so if you feel like you're in a relationship that you have requested multiple times to end, that's a flag, because normally when somebody asks for a relationship to end, the other person ends it. It ends. So the very fact that you've asked for something to happen, which is the ending of something, and that ending isn't provided to you, and so this in itself is an extreme manipulation that I used, because he just would wear you down by not leaving. Okay, we'll separate, and you live in your room and I'll live in my room, and we'll just coexist, because financially, and I'm sure for a lot of you out there's been a lot of financial abuse at play, because if you're financially dependent upon the relationship, that's the hook of well, you can't just up and leave. And I couldn't up and leave, because the home that I live in was owned by my parents, not his parents. And so it was him that had to leave, but he wouldn't leave because, oh, well, I'm not in a financial position to leave. You know, we have so much debt accumulated with each other that I'm just going to stay here and wait it out. And so they wait out. They wear you down and they wait it out as a means of having control over you, a means of kind of stonewalling the situation. You've asked for even when I came right out and said, I want a divorce. I want divorce. It took another 8 months, I believe, another 8 months to get him out of the house, and I had to lose it, get out of my house, and because they just don't leave. It's like the worst fungal infection that you could possibly imagine that just won't clear, and no matter what you try. And so this is a means of keeping you controlled, and having control over you, just wearing you down over and over and over again. Every attempt to try to reach for freedom, every attempt to try to escape, every attempt to try, and that's why it's so vitally important that when you break free from narcissistic relationships, you need to go no contact. And it's extreme because I went no contact not only with him, but I went no contact with every single person we had in common. Every single person I had to, because the control reached out into this world of flying monkeys, and I'd have friends of mine coming to me saying things for the stretch that we were separated, and the love bombing had begun again, and the hoovering had begun again, and the flying monkeys had started coming in again, and I was recognizing very inappropriate statements coming from inappropriate people. You know, my friends would be saying to me, oh, it's clear that he loves you, you know, why don't you give him another chance? And I even had an acupuncturist who had said to me, you know, I really hope you two get back together, and because they get into the ears of any common connections that you might have to do their bidding. Again, as a form of control over you. And so once I finally got him out of my house, it was another year, 14 months of love bombing, of all of a sudden showing up in energies that I had wanted my whole life, opening doors for me, and, you know, and I'm like, I can't, I don't, what, you know, like, it just... I really want to make this work. And my brain was just mush, absolute mush. And so this is what's bubbling to the surface for me right now, is understanding where, you know, I have attempted to grasp control in a situation that I'm being controlled within, and so it's these layers of control when it comes to narcissistic relationships. It is we attempt to create control on micro things within an environment that we are being controlled in. So it's like a prisoner who's got control over their cell. They don't have true freedom, but they attempt to create the idea that they're free within the confines of this cell. And it's like Stockholm syndrome. Is the only way to kind of become more adaptive into a situation of being imprisoned. And that's why I have often referred to escape as the term to get out of this type of relationship, because it is literally like being contained within somebody else's mental confines, mental prison that they've created, this reality of this shared fantasy reality And that's what it is. And there are a couple of, narcissist kind of specialist people that talked about the shared fantasy. And the shared fantasy looks like you having control or over the decisions that you have within their bubble that they have created for you. And it's the craziest of crazy experiences. I don't think that people who have never experienced narcissistic abuse could comprehend it, because it sounds so utterly crazy. All of the games, the gaslighting, the manipulations, the control strategies, the hooks, the chains, the loops, all of these aspects are insane. They're the creations of insanity. And so when you escape, it takes a long time to recover, and it takes a long time to heal. And this awakening path that you find yourself, you wake up to this reality that, holy fuck, what is happening? I need to escape from this. And then once you escape from it, it takes a very long time to kind of put the brain back together, and put the nervous system back down to a parasympathetic nervous system, because you've spent over a decade or 30 years, 50 years, your whole life being in this nervous system loop of trauma, and then fight or flight response, and then cortisol flowing, and then your adrenals going, and then burnout, and then so your entire physicality takes, and it's months and months and months. My nervous system is still like a jittery mess at times, and as situations come in that are showing me more and more how little control I have over it, it's like triggering it, and you're like, oh God, there's more. And so this squeeze that I talked about, it's like a never-ending. If you have a lot of trauma, you're like, oh my God, when is this ever going to end? When am I going to get to this bliss phase? And yes, I've experienced, some phases of the void, and some phases of the grounding, and some phases of bliss, moments here and there. And then it's back down, deep dive, and squeezing out more stuff as it comes into a new level of awareness and consciousness, so that I don't need to ever repeat these same things. So if you are recovering from narcissistic relationships and trauma bonds, and are on this awakening path and experiencing the depths, diving depths into dark night of the soul, expunging out the trauma, healing those inner child wounds, because the fundamental of it is all of this is a very wounded child that was badly abused, and we carry that wounded child with us for the rest of our lives, just so desperately wanting to be loved, just so desperately wanting to make things right. And so that's the root of it is that poor inner child that is looking for love in all the wrong places, because those places feel familiar, those places feel normal, and we have to break that cycle of abuse, and those that are doing the work, the warrior work, to break the cycles of abuse, and who are speaking up and saying their truth. I applaud you all. You are absolute warriors, doing incredible work, going into the darkest of dark places and shining a light, because that's what we are. We are light workers that are saying, yeah, this bullshit, this cruelty, this abuse of young children, this mental fuckery has to stop. And so those that are taking the time to, take that pledge, if you didn't watch the first video on Pledge to Self, January 1st of this year, I do recommend that one. And as a way to keep you doing all of the things that are required to heal, doing the inner child work and reparenting, feeling the emotions, allowing yourself to feel the emotions, and they're horrible because they've been locked within us for a long time. We haven't wanted to feel them, and we've attempted to control them within us at all costs. I think it's Carl Jung that says that we'll do the most insane things ever to keep the unconscious unconscious. We don't want to bring it into our level of consciousness. Not exactly the quote, but you get the gist. And so we need to reparent, and that's hard work. It's okay to have these feelings. It's okay. You're safe. To learn what safety is. It is a lot of work on this awakening path, to reprogram all of the faulty beliefs that have been, it's like being pre-programmed with a whole bunch of shit that has kept us looping, kept us out of control, attempting to grasp control in other ways, in other areas of our lives, and pre-programming us to stay looped into these unhealthy cycles of abuse. And as well, learn how to cope, because as the spiritual awakening is stripping away all of the coping mechanisms, the alcohol, the smoking, the pot usage, pharmaceuticals, food behaviors, and micromanaging, controlling, cognitive distortions, and if you're interested in learning more about cognitive distortions, look at cognitive behavioral therapy as means to help you identify some of the thought patterns that we attempt to use, again, as a means of controlling the environment within a controlled environment, because this narcissistic bubble of abuse that you may find yourself in is one that requires piercing and to escape from. I'm sending you all of my absolute love. If you are on the path of recovery and you have experienced narcissistic abuse, you have experienced trauma, if you need help and you want to book a one-on-one Zoom call with me to discuss some of the stuff that is bubbling to the surface and that you are facing, the way to do that is in the description below. Send me off an email saying that you would like to request a one-on-one Zoom call with me, and the donation link is below that. And so there are 3 price points to help you in whatever financial position that you currently find yourself in, because I want to support you as best I can. And if you want to book a card read, we can do that too. A little less talking from you, a little bit more talking from me and from spirit that way. And I'm sending you so much gratitude, so much care and compassion. Thank you very much for all the comments that I have been receiving as of late. I really appreciate them. Knowing that my videos are helping you deal with your trauma and deal with your awakening and deal with your whatever twin flame journey, if that's what you're on, it really means the world to me, because it makes me feel like all of this kind of that I've been through, all this fuckery that I've been through, has a purpose and a meaning to it. Because I can assist other people that have been put through very horrific and difficult life experiences. And I understand suffering in ways I never wanted to, but I am grateful that that awareness can be useful and has a purpose and has a meaning to it. So thank you very much for the comments, for the likes, the shares, and the subscription. We are growing. It's micro growth, but it's still growth, and I am so incredibly grateful for that. So with that said, I'm sending you so much love, and peace out.